Hey Del, let's circle back to your loan to value. Because you talked about the 75 is now 65% loan to value. Different than loan to cost. And go through underwriting, because that 65% isn't 65% of what you think the cost is.
No.
It's a lot lower than that.
Yeah.
Because of
you know what?
underwriting.
Here's an example too. We're working on another situation. It's an office building downtown. You know, it's 4 stories, 2 stories at least, 2 stories aren't. And so there's a bank that has the loan. Bank won't order the appraisal. Why? Because they don't want to know what it's worth. Because if they get a new appraisal, then my borrower wants to pay for the appraisal. When we already had Ron Braun set up to do it. They refuse to do the appraisal. Why? Because once they have an official document in their hand, done, signed, and inked by an MAI, you know, and probably the last appraisal they had done could have been 6 or 8 months ago. That value's probably dropped another 10%. What do they have to do? They got to set off another 10% worth of their capital so they don't want to know. So we just got an opinion of value from NAI Tampa Bay. And no, actually, it was Osprey. Anyways, so they basically did a opinion of value, opinion letter, and in that they said, you know, we don't even addressing cost, because it doesn't mean anything. Cost doesn't mean anything. You know, and this industrial building that I mentioned in Orlando, the loan quote, one of the loan quotes I've got on this thing so far, and this was 8% money, because remember, the building's empty. It was $14 a square foot. What that lender wanted to offer. Why? Because they discount the thing down like crazy. They take now value, then they take, they discount it for lease up, and then they discount it again for quick sale, and and so your value, you could get 35% whopped off of the day's value. That's as is value today, just through this process of discount. Underwriting. Well, we're going to take the net operating income. George says we don't do any pro forma. Net operating income, we're going to use our cap rate, which is going to be somewhere, depending on the property type, anywhere from 8 to 10%. I would say the average would be about 8.5%. Wouldn't you, Ryan? Yes. Now it may appraise at 7, may appraise at 7.5. Gary just told me that somebody's paid for some apartments 5.5 cap rate, right? 5.5 cap rate. Hadn't heard that in a long time.
But that's the best in breed, I'm guessing. The best of the best versus.
Was it A quality?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the barbell market.
Yeah. But you know what? If that borrower came to me and wanted me to lend him money, I don't care what he paid. I mean, our lenders are going to do, they might do 7.5 or something like that, or maybe 8. So the value is basically the value that our lenders put on the properties. I mean, you can walk in with an appraisal.
So 65% isn't really 65%. 65%. 65% is probably closer to 50, 55%.
No.
No, we're not hitting that hard.
No.
You're taking an extra vacancy factor.
We're taking market vacancy, market rents, and by public center. Yeah, I mean so
reserves.
Well,
You're gonna whack it reserves. You're gonna whack.
Well, the reserves are what we do. Reserves are still standard, the same as they were back in 05.
Right.
I mean, that hadn't changed.
Reserves haven't changed. The only thing that's really changed is, we're looking at it as if we had to own it.
Right.
We got to own that property today.
That's the main thing.
And we want it to cash flow at X debt service level, which, we're still underwriting 125. And if it's a shorter lease, like a 15-15, we might go down to 115 on a debt service coverage. But no, the underwriting is still the same. And if the guy gets an appraisal, the appraiser's going to use market rent. They're going to use market vacancy, and therein lies the difference. May be the MAI may use a 8 cap or 7.5, and we're going to use 8.5. We're going to hedge our bet. But that's pretty much how they do it. It's just typical TI and leasing reserves. We do them, basically below the line. We don't take out of the NOI calculation, the TI leasing thing. I mean, we factor, huh?
And we don't collect it.
And we don't collect, that's correct. Oh, well, one interesting thing, and I'll close, the CMBS lenders are coming back. So there are a number of them are starting to play. Unfortunately, the players that you can count on, like the Wells Fargos and the Goldman Sachs, I mean, they don't want to touch a loan package, you know, under 10, 15 million bucks. Well, we don't have a whole lot of 10, 15 million dollar deals here in Tampa Bay. And but you know, and they're talking 75, 80% again. And coupon rates, they're all working on a debt yield. Basically, you take the loan amount and divide it by the income, and you know, and they're looking for like a 10.5% debt yield at the best case scenario. But they're back, you know, and I think that eventually they'll be a player. Now, you know, I've pitched the deal a couple of times. Some of our lenders, and they said they wouldn't touch a CMBS deal with a 10-foot pole.
Hard lock boxes.
Hard lock boxes. Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, they're talking, you know, higher loan to values.
Non-recourse. Still non-recourse.
Non-recourse. You know, but the underwriting standards will be tighter, and here again, it's going to be market rent and da 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 da. But then the other thing too, this was my last comment. You know, when we were looking at these slides with CMBS up here, all that interest-only stuff, you know, I mean, those guys are screwed. They're done. I mean, those properties are going to go back to that servicer, and you know, and then ultimately, who knows what's going to happen with stuff. But it'll be the big guys that will come in and snatch off the the bigger projects, and then you know the smaller stuff we'll see from the banks, and we may all have an opportunity to participate in that, you know, if we're lucky. So, okay, that's it.